I'm Michael Fisher, craft beer enthusiast and industry professional. I'm on a journey to find some people whose professions or hobbies revolve around the fermentation of malt and hops. We're going to dive into their passions and share some conversations over their favorite brews. So join me as I bring the brew to you. Welcome to the next round of Brew To You. I'm your host, Michael Fisher. We come to you today from MadTree Brewing Company in Cincinnati, Ohio. With me is co-founder Brady Duncan. Welcome aboard, Brady.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Ironically, you and I are from neighboring hometowns.
I'm from the right side of the tracks.
Well, it depends. It depends on how you look at things. Beer is what brought us together as
Absolutely.
humans. And so more or less we met in Cincinnati.
Yep.
So tell me a little bit about the journey that you went on to get us together.
Yeah, so quick background. So right from Massillon, Ohio, which is about 3.5 hours northeast of here. Did my undergrad at University of Dayton, public relations and marketing. My girlfriend at the time, now wife, said, I'm moving to beautiful, sunny Tuscaloosa, Alabama to get her PhD. So I moved down there, worked doing relationship marketing for 2 years. She had 2 years left, perfect time to go back and get my MBA at the University of Alabama. So,
Roll Tide?
Roll Tide. Right as I started working there, I met my two co-founders, Jeff and Kenny, and we started talking about this vision for MadTree. The end of 2012, left Procter & Gamble full-time, was doing business analytics work there. I did work on the Charmin team, as I like to say, analyzing ass wipes for ass wipes. But the end of 2012, left that to do MadTree, and here we are.
What sparked the name MadTree? What was the vision to that?
So Mad really speaks to this kind of fanatical obsession, the way that we go about things. We're very methodical. I was an analyst. My other partner was an engineer, very data-driven, very analytical. And then the tree side just kind of speaks to the community side. So right, it's the purpose of what we're about. It's staying connected to our community. It's all the kind of fluffier stuff, but it's the stuff that really kind of tugs at our heartstrings.
So you're located in Cincinnati, but really in the town of Oakley.
Yep.
And this has become this town's, one of its most coveted local bars.
It harkens back. Cincinnati was once one of the great epicenters of beer, pre-Prohibition. So we were really excited to kind of come back here. This used to be, it used to house a business called the Frog and Switch Company back in the early 1900s. Actually, this building is an existing building, as well as where we brew and kind of the hangar out there. And we wanted to kind of repurpose it because it's kind of been an iconic landmark here in Oakley.
What's really helping drive this, other than the fact that the beer's fantastic, is this concept of local has become a thing. That five-letter word has almost become way more powerful.
I think the problem with local, right, in the beer scene is that people don't dissect what does local mean. And you started to hit on it, right? What does a local brewery do? I'll be honest, there are breweries outside of this city who probably support this city better than maybe some even breweries here. The way that they're getting involved in the communities, the way that they're raising money, the way that they're holding events, the way that they're building up the beer scene. Here at MadTree, we have 100 employees, right? Who most of the people probably be working at other jobs, but we're able to bring in 100 employees into here, right? We're able to bring a lot of tax base into Cincinnati and into the Oakley neighborhood. And that just fans out. If you look across the state of Ohio and across the U.S., craft beer is having an amazing impact on our economy, and
Sure.
That's something for all of us to be proud of.
Let's talk about the first beer. This is what I'd like to refer to as our first repeat offender on Brew To You.
My wife actually named it. She's a psychologist. This was named when we were still homebrewing. So you get a lot of citrus, floral notes out of it. It's heavy Cascade Centennial Chinook. Cheers. This was the beer that just had me freaking the fuck out when we were homebrewers. We could not make an IPA to save our lives. And knowing that, right, IPA is such a fantastic style that it was resonating with consumers, as it still does today. The bitterness is there. It doesn't necessarily punch you. It's got a little bit of a grassy note to it that lets you know the hops are there.
Nice malt backbone. It's funny, I come into MadTree, and I look at your, what, 25 taps?
Well, 64 individual handles and probably about 28 unique beers.
So I look at that list, and it's different every time I come here because of the different stuff you're brewing. But this is 100% high on my list as a standard MadTree beer.
Every time you have this beer, it's going to be consistent. It's not going to be oxidized. There's not going to be off flavors. It's going to taste the exact same as last time that you had it. And for a brewery of our size to be putting out beer as consistent and as quality as this is probably one of the things I'm most proud of at this brewery.
How big is MadTree?
Definitely one of the top 10 producers in the state of Ohio, maybe close to 5. We did probably about 27,000 barrels of beer in 2018. Certainly have plans to grow beyond that. And we have one of the largest brew houses in the state of Ohio. However, I always say it's not the size that counts, it's how you use it. And I think we use it extremely well. I know that rings home with you, Mike.
Of all of the fluid ounces of MadTree beer I've ever consumed, this has got to be top 2. So tell me about this one.
This is Lift. It's a Kolsch. We don't use your typical noble European hops. We use a descendant of that called Pacifica. Brings just a little bit more kind of orangey character, which is kind of where some of the graphic design of the orange comes in. It's 4.7. It's super easy to drink. This is kind of just our go-to. At the top says Lift, Drink, Repeat, and that's kind of what this beer's meant to be.
Craft beer nerds now, like, sometimes we don't mind getting back to our, our quantity drinking roots. Like, I'm kind of in the mood to drink 9 beers and pee a lot. I just enjoy beer, but I want to be able to function potentially in the world.
Where the Lift name comes from, we say lifts your spirits without lowering your expectations of what a good craft beer can be. You can appreciate the nuances of a beer that we've made a million times. The same way that the Pacific hops out of New Zealand, which is a really kind of subtle, cool hop, that there's a lot of cool shit happening in this class, and we don't need to throw a million pounds of fruit at it or a million pounds of hops to deliver that.
Sure.
It's a metaphor for life.
So moving on to the next beer, Happy Amber. So tell me a little bit about this beer.
It won 2018 gold medal at GABF, which we're super, super proud of. So the whole purpose of Happy Amber early was this kind of melding of, kind of a pale ale and an amber. And we were making it for all these years, and we kind of use it as our story to kind of represent, hey, we don't really brew beers to style. Then last year it won. And we said, shit, we actually brewed a beer to style, because you don't win at GABF unless your beer is stylistically accurate.
To a fault on some level.
And all of our ignorance, we were brewing an ESB the whole time. We were just too stupid to realize it, I think, early on. We work with local illustrators on all of our cans. This is a guy, Tom Post, who is, to me, one of the most phenomenal illustrators we've ever worked with. And we said, hey, we kind of need this kind of happy tree, man. And that's literally all the guidance we gave him. And he came up with this guy who kind of looks like happy Robert De Niro or John Goodman or something like that. And every time I see this illustration, I love it.
So on to our 4th beer. Up until this point, the first 3 were core beers from MadTree. This is the first limited release, seasonal, what do you call it?
This is Citra High. We started getting our hands on some fun to use hops like Citra, Galaxy, Amarillo, and we just started playing around with these heavily hopped, but yet still well-balanced Imperial IPAs. It's a 9.5% Imperial IPA. Perfect time
for me.
Citra notes, you're gonna get a lot of tropical fruit, a lot of citrus, a little bit of passion fruit from it.
Yeah, it's got a good look to it.
This does not go down like a 9.5% beer.
Wow. Yeah. It's nice. I mean, it's got a beautiful nose. It's nice and chewy, too. I mean, you definitely tell it doesn't drink 9.5%.
Yep.
But it's a meaty beer.
Yeah.
It's just a 6-pack, 4-pack.
We put it in 4-pack.
Probably for good measure. That's probably an excellent reason for doing so. But that's almost a 4-pack night ender.
So I have 3 kids, and then when my wife's water broke with number 2, and I had 2 of these, and then she called me, and I'm like, shit. I sobered up before she got home. We were good. But yeah, it's a good thing it happened when it did, because hopefully I wasn't going to crack a 3rd, because then she would have been driving me to the...
You got an Uber. She would have been driving, that's right.
Yeah, you never live that one down.
I feel like you pay for that one for the rest of your life. we always come back with the interesting beer question. What's your inspiration beer? What's the beer you were drinking or drink when you're looking for an inspiration, whether it was the inspiration for MadTree in general, inspiration as a home brewer, inspiration for your next new beer? What's the go-to drink for you when you're looking for inspiration?
Why, Sierra Nevada Pale Ale.
But of course.
This beer takes me back. I remember so many times I would just go literally right up around the corner and I'd grab 2 12-packs. This was one of the earlier actually canned beers to kind of hit Ohio. You just want to drink something that's like reliable, standard, does the job, and this beer like always does that.
This is Dad's old diesel truck of beers, right?
For craft guys,
I don't
yeah.
care how cold it is or how many miles have been put on it, been maintained well, been properly cared for, and it starts every time and it will take you from here to the coast.
And I will tell you, Sierra Nevada is one of the few breweries, I mean, I would drink this beer probably 10 months old, which for hoppy beer is unbelievable at their quality control. Cheers.
Cheers. That really wraps it up for this episode. We've had a lot of fun. We appreciate you. Brady, thank you so much for having me. And I want to point out one thing. This episode is probably going to go down to the Hall of Fame of Brew To You episodes. Sierra Nevada is actually also a repeat offender. So you are in a class, maybe it's only this class, MadTree Psychopathy, Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, hanging out on some bench somewhere in the annals of history of Brew To You as brothers, as the original repeat offenders when it comes to Brew To You. Where in the world can you get MadTree beer?
So all of Ohio, Kentucky, and we hit about 3/4, 2/3 of Tennessee, so pretty much Nashville, kind of East Tennessee.
So if you happen to be in Ohio, Kentucky, Nashville, Eastern Tennessee, pick up a MadTree beer. But if you happen to be in Cincinnati, do yourself a favor. Stop by. This place is fantastic. Try a beer. Maybe you run into that beard. It could be a good time. Otherwise, thank you very much. We appreciate you. We'll see you on the next round of Brew To You.